Twilight Gets a Puppy. By TDR. Chapter 79. Dog Showstoppers. Part 2. The next day. Spike screamed. Scudolo ignored the dragon clinging to the wagon behind her for dear life as it soared over the crowd. She landed perfectly, sending Granny Smith into a spin before somehow picking up speed as she tore into the forest, hopping logs and jumping over branches. At one point she left the cart completely, causing another panicked cry from Spike before she landed back on her scooter and burst into the clearing that held the clubhouse. Spike was an alright guy, but he was a bit of a wuss. Apple Bloom yelped as Scudolo hit the brakes, skidding to a stop and snapping the wagon around with her, launching Spike through the air to crash into the bushes on the far side of the clearing. Wow, Scudolo, that was impressive. Got some distance on too. Apple Bloom smirked, trotting over to help the much paler Spike to his feet. Scudolo let out a whistle, looking around the clearing. Wow, did you do all this? Yep. Cleaned up the area, fixed the holes, added more support, re-shingled the roof and finished painting it when you came up. Apple Bloom stated. Cool, where's Sweetie Belle? Scudolo asked. Right over here. Sweetie Belle chimed in, walking over to look at Spike. Caught a ride with Scudolo, hey? You would think I'd learn after that rocket jump last time. Spike shuddered. It wasn't that bad. Scudolo huffed. Then why is he white? Apple Bloom offered worriedly. By Celestia, Apple Bloom, you can't just ask some pony why they're white. Scudolo rolled her eyes. He's a dragon. Apple Bloom protested. Whatever. Scudolo shrugged. Oh, that's normal anyway, riding with Scoots scares the color right out of you. I used to be pink like my mother. Sweetie Belle claimed. It does not. Scudolo protested. Walking from now on. Spike muttered as Sweetie Belle giggled. Asterisk. Applejack whistled lightly as she walked up the ramp towards the clubhouse. Her ears perked up as she heard singing from inside. It was rather nice, though she winced as she heard Spike and Scudolo join in, loudly, and painfully off-key. Quite a bit had been done with the place. The color scheme was a bit off-putting, but she recalled the bright neon colors she had used when this was hers, and the black and grey Mac had used before her when he was going through his emo phase, so something looking like a fancy cake wasn't too bad. Halfway up the ramp, however, Applejack let out a loud yelp as it gave way under her, dropping the mare down a few feet into a pile of leaves under the ramp. The ramp swung back into place just as the leaves gave out under her, dropping her into a pit filled with mud. Applejack cursed, looking up at the top of the pit as a net made of vines dropped down over her and a little bell started ringing. Is that the alarm? Scudolo shouted. Something fell in the trap. Sweetie Belle answered, and it wasn't me this time. Guess Spike's idea wasn't bad after all. Apple Bloom stated. Told you. Spike chimed in. The thunder of little hooves sounded as they ran down the ramp, peering over the edge of the pit, looking in. Uh-oh. Apple Bloom winced, looking at her angry sister. Is it a zombie? Spike asked, looking over the edge. Oh. Hey, who'd have thought a trap from that dumb ogres and oubliettes game would have worked? Scudolo shrugged. Asterisk. Theme song. Applejack asked, wiping some mud off her hooves as she looked over the interior of the clubhouse. There was a hoof-drawn map of the town, a small bookshelf filled with books of various kinds, mostly comics, a few garish and girly throw pillows, a couple of Wonderbolts posters and a number of other knickknacks that showed fairly clearly who contributed what to the clubhouse. Every great adventuring party has a theme song. Spike offered. We're still working on ours. Sweetie Belle muttered. We're not going to stop until we get our cutie marks. Scudolo shouted. No stone left unturned. Apple Bloom chimed in. No mountain left unclimbed. Scudolo added. No meal left uncooked. Sweetie Belle added. No gems left uneaten. Spike added his 2 bits. I'm still leery of that one. Sweetie Belle muttered. Well, if you don't want it, I'll eat your gems for you. Spike smiled. Well, sounds like you got a plan. I gotta head back and I'll leave no apple unpicked. You all have fun, just ease up on that traps. Okay. Applejack muttered. The four of them watched Applejack head back down the ramp, leery of the spot she fell through before, though when it didn't go off she kept going. I still think the noose trap would have been funnier. Sweetie Belle offered. Maybe if we build a secret back door to the clubhouse we can put it there. Apple Bloom claimed. Why would we need a back door? Scootaloo asked. Or even the traps to begin with. Zombies Spike offered, getting an eye roll from the Pegasus. Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon. Sweetie Belle stated flatly. Oh? Would they even come out this far? Scootaloo questioned. To make us miserable, I wouldn't put anything past them. Apple Bloom muttered. I still don't have that much of an issue with them. Spike shrugged. That's because the best thing they can come up with for you is to call you scaly, Scootaloo grumbled. Anyway, enough of that. What are we doing now? Apple Bloom asked. Crusading to get our cutie marks. Sweetie Belle chimed. Sounds good to me. Scootaloo grinned. Oh boy. Spike winced. Asterisk. Sweet Apple Acres. Sweetie Belle, Spike, Scootaloo, and Apple Bloom dumped the buckets of slop into the troughs surprisingly without incident. Sweetie Belle hopped up, ringing the dinner bell as Apple Bloom opened the door to the outside pig pen. The squeal of hogs was heard as a small stampede of pink rushed through the door for the food. Just as quickly as they ran in, the pigs skidded to a halt, their eyes wide. The small porcine group looked at the food, then at Spike, then at the CMC, before looking back to the food, then at each other. With a silent nod they turned around and ran out the door, squealing just as loudly as they had coming in, leaving the fillies and dragon standing there staring after them. Apple Bloom stared on in shock at pigs not wanting food, as Sweetie Belle nudged Scootaloo. I guess they heard about Dolly. Sweetie Belle commented. Asterisk. Sugar cube corner. Scootaloo smiled, tossing the blocks of taffy into the mixer as Spike turned it on. The machine started working and pulling on the rainbow taffy, stretching it out, working perfectly, at least until Scootaloo turned to get down off the stepladder and her tail got caught in the sticky mess as a mixer passed. The Pegasus yelped as she was pulled back into the bowl. Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom jumped up to grab her, getting yanked into the mix as well. Spike quickly flipped the switch to shut it off, climbing the ladder to start trying to pull the fillies out of it. Not long after, 3 taffy-coated fillies inched out of the door of the shop, stuck together with a little dragon following them, tugging bits of taffy out of their fur and munching away at it happily. Asterisk. Frog Pond. What is it with you 3 and water? Twilight asked, looking down at the damp hole that was all that remained of the small pond. It's a good thing Fluttershy took all the frogs to the bog. There was a giant octopus in there. Apple Bloom protested. Actually, that was a giant squid. Sweetie Belle protested. Ross frowned, looking at how deep the pond was. Woof. What? Scootaloo asked. He asked what happened, 'cause all he smells is fire. Spike muttered. Yes, sorry, the octopus. Squid. Sweetie Belle corrected. Yes, squid startled me and I was kinda holding my breath when I let it all out in a rush, spitting fire at it. Spike muttered. Fried calamari. Twilight let out a sigh, looking at Spike before rubbing her temples. You set fire to the pond? Yes. Spike admitted. Green fire? Twilight asked. Yes. Spike confirmed. Lovely. Twilight twitched. Ross Plan Delta Sigma. What? Apple Bloom asked as Ross sighed. I will be packing up to move to Saddle Arabia to become a goat. Let the princess know if she suddenly shows up asking why I sent her a pond. Twilight explained. Which princess? Scootaloo asked. Any of them. Twilight stated, rushing off back towards the library, dragging Ross along with her. Does she think Princess Celestia is gonna be mad at her for something you did? Sweetie Belle asked. She's still a little high-strung. She'll figure it out. Spike shrugged. Asterisk. Carousel boutique. The mare ran away screaming, her mane done up in a poofy clown hairdo. Spike rolled his eyes, pulling the gloves off his claws. What was she so upset about? She knew when we started we had no idea what we were doing. Yeah, that was a good look for her anyway. Scootaloo protested. Did we get paid for that? I'm getting kinda hungry. Sweetie Belle asked. I think we still have some taffy. Spike offered. Pass, Sweetie Belle, Apple Bloom, and Scootaloo groaned. Asterisk. The Southfield Sweet Apple Acres. Blue Star. Spike smiled as the girls gasped. That's right again. Scootaloo shouted. That's 10 in a row. Sweetie Belle cheered. How are you doing that? Apple Bloom demanded. A magician never tells his tricks. Spike chuckled. Apple Bloom narrowed her eyes looking at Spike as the dragon smiled a bit wider. It's 'cause we let ya shuffle, ain't it? Apple Bloom asked. Ya counted tha cards. What? Spike yelped before regaining his composure. I mean no, of course not. All three fillies looked at each other, then at Spike, who wasn't meeting their gazes. Ya got a horrid poker face, Spike. Apple Bloom grumbled. Asterisk. Wind-swept peak. Spike dug his claws in deeper as he clambered up higher, clinging to the rock face as the other three hung onto the rope behind him to keep from falling. The wind whipped against his scales as snow fell around them. Spike puffed out a blast of heat as he clawed at the rock, climbing up higher and pulling himself onto the top of the icy rock face. He turned, starting to pull on the rope, dragging Apple Bloom and the others up to the peak with him. Sweetie Belle had just climbed over the rock when the wind kicked up and blew her sideways. The filly lost her footing and went over the edge, dragging Scootaloo and Apple Bloom with her. Spike whirled about, clawing at the rock face for a purchase, only finding ice as he too was yanked off the peak, screaming as he fell. For about 2 seconds before bouncing off the pile of fillies in the grass under him. Anything? Spike asked, catching his breath. Nope, no mark. Scootaloo sighed. Why is there even a rock covered with ice and snow out here anyway? Sweetie Belle asked. Weather team training area, they practice all sorts of weather types out here. Scootaloo answered. Rainbow Dash was out here this morning practicing with snow. I think they have a big storm planned in a few weeks. Maybe we can get a mark in something winter related. We ain't had much luck with summer and fall so far. Apple Bloom sighed. Wonder if I can convince them I hibernate. Spike muttered to himself. Asterisk. Golden Oaks Library. Hello, Twilight. Are you ready to lose at 3D Scrabble again? Miss Cheerly called as she pushed the door open, looking into the library. The school teacher paused, blinking as she noticed Spike sitting at the help desk with his face buried in his claws. Ross was nearby, stretched out on the couch, trying to ignore everything as he read something. Cheerly got a brief glimpse of the cover and made a note to reserve a copy of it herself. Cheerly asked, blinking as she looked over the disaster of the room. Books and notes were strewn everywhere. Spike, what happened? Where's Twilight? Probably halfway to Saddle Arabia to become a goat by this point. Spike grumbled. Woof. Ross chuckled. Ross says he just had the male ponies carry her around town. Spike corrected. She should be back later this evening. What? Cheerly asked. She asked us to, Spike sighed. A pile of the books rumbled away as the CMC broke the surface of the books like sharks breaching the ocean waves. She's going to make me clean this up, I know it. Spike grumbled. Well, I don't think we got our cutie marks in reading. Apple Bloom frowned. Obviously, Spike rolled his eyes. You could get them to help put everything away by suggesting that as a cutie mark. Cheerly whispered to Spike. I would like there to be some library left if Twilight fails to become a goat. Spike muttered. I might have something that could help Spike. Cheerly smiled, pulling a rolled poster from her saddlebag and offering it to the Drake. Ponyville School Talent Show? Spike asked curiously. There will be all sorts of awards: Best Magic Act, Best Comedy Act, Best Performance. Cheerly lists. Surely you could come up with something that showcases your special talent. Oh! Sweetie Belle gasped. I can see it. Scootaloo nodded. It's perfect. Apple Bloom smiled. At least the damage will be localized. Spike shrugged. Don't give me that, Buster, you set fire to the lake this time. Apple Bloom pointed out. Wait, what? Cheerly asked in a panic as Ross snickered. Author's note. And thus we have Spike, the tactician. Apple Bloom, the tech-savvy one. Scootaloo, the athlete. Sweetie Belle, the brain. Ekis is doomed. End author's note. End chapter 79. Dog Showstoppers. Part 2.